Thank you very much to Bruce, Andrew, and Ian for organising again. Enjoyed it. So our project was called Bioregional Dashboards, a follow-on from Code the City 21. I'm going to share my screen. And so the idea was, could we collate a dashboard which should produce evidence on the health of our local environment? And so the first project was just took the River Dee watershed as a bioregion and tried to pitch through the story. But this weekend was focused on allowing people to build their own bioregion, regardless of where they are, again, around their local river. So I'm just going to give you a quick overview of this slightly broken interface, and then Ash will tell you about his work on using OpenStreetMaps and the potential there. And then Karen's been doing some great stuff and actually doing the data science and the visualization. So the idea is you come to this interface and you type in the river teeth, which Ash was working on, and you click build a bioregion. It's querying Wikipedia, and as you can see, there's, this gives me an option, and I'm going to click on the wrong button here. So in the orange, it says there's no bioregion prepared for this place, build one. So you click on it, and eventually you'd have these 4 sections, and then we could build up the story from there. But if we click on the river teeth, we actually get the map. And much to my frustration in the last half an hour, the GeoJSON is there for all the 3 areas we're working on. I am using a new format of them, they're new files, so maybe it's not compatible with my old system, but it's not showing on the map. But the idea is then we would then view the stories for that area and show water flow and build it up. So it's a bit frustration not to actually get the many watersheds, because the challenge has been, I just hand drew the watershed last time, and now we've got 1, 3, and 4 different watersheds. And so I had to aggregate all those. And so that's all there in principle. And so it would just be nice to see it on the map for today. But with that, Ash, over to you.
You're on mute still, Ash.
It's probably better that way. Okay, so I was just working on a very small part of the jigsaw puzzle. So you show there how James typed in the river teeth, and part of what should appear up on the screen is the actual water course for the river teeth. So I was trying to thinking of a way that is scalable, that I could get information about the water course of any river in Scotland. So the idea would be that you could go to OpenStreetMap, you could look for the root node of the river teeth, and it would extract all the information, all the way markers for the river course of the teeth, and it would turn it into GeoJSON. And then it would give that back to James's main app again, and it would display the course of the river. And so towards that, I just wrote a small kind of proof of concept tool.
Which, you're showing the screen we're seeing is the globe. Is that the right screen, or did you think intend to show a different screen?
That's not the right screen. Sorry.
Okay.
Let me try that again then. Okay, you should be seeing my Chrome browser now.
Yes, there we go.
Okay, so this is just a little software tool I was telling you about that kind of extracts river course information from OpenStreetMap. So the idea really is that you could give it a root node of a root node in terms of OpenStreetMap of a river, and it would extract all the segments and subsegments, et cetera, pull back all the latitudes and longitudes of all the points along the way and turn them into GeoJSON. So it kind of works. It's kind of partly there, but it's got a few bits missing. So here's an example here. You give it the teeth. It pulls back all the latitudes and longitudes along the river teeth, turns it into a GeoJSON file, and you can see a rendering of that GeoJSON of the river teeth here on this map. And this is just a small piece of the jigsaw puzzle that would fit into what James and Karen are doing in the large. The one thing I have to say was it's a little bit, I've been finding it a little bit difficult to navigate through the hierarchy of nodes in OpenStreetMap to be able to find the right node that represents the root node, if you like, of a river or something like that. So I've got a bit of work to do on that side of things. But as proof of concept, I think it kind of works. So I'll hand back over to James or to Karen.
Cool.
So we were working off of that Wikidata piece. One of the things we've kind of identified is that we can have, rather than try and build data from scratch, we'll try and use as much of what's already existing on Wikidata. So one of that is being able to extract the sort of Wikidata IDs from them. And for RiverD, for example, we're looking at Wiki IDs like that. So the dashboard, in theory, should be able to show a combination of different things that we can get from Wikipedia, from those IDs, and hopefully be able to display things like charts. So for the moment, all we've got are these static charts that are sitting there, and they're just sitting in a folder with that same QID. So whatever we can get from Wikipedia, we can show on the page from Wikipedia. Whatever has to be hosted locally within GitHub, for example, we use the same IDs rather than try and create a whole new system altogether. So that's what we're really trying to achieve. I mean, at the moment, we've just got a bunch of charts and not much else. But the other thing that's probably interesting is maybe a map that looks like this. So showed this earlier, I'll show it again. What we have been able to get is some of these boundary stuff. So for every sort of river, if you will, we're looking at D here. These are all the different water courses and the boundaries that we've been able to get. And these, I'll zoom in a bit. Oops. No, that's not zooming in. Where's it gone?
Go north, go north. You're in Northumbria there. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. If you can see this, it's quite small. I'm not going to try and go any further in case I lose it again. But these little points are, we know where the stations are. So you'd be able to see where those stations are and what the respective readings are for those stations. In theory, you would be able, if it were an interactive dashboard, you would then be able to say filter by the last 5 years, and then you should be able to see what those readings were at the different locations. So still quite some work to do there to be able to combine it all together. And that's what we've got.
That's great, thank you. So any observations, questions, suggestions from the other teams? So my question is, what's next? So you managed to get this in Code of City 21 and to 22. I guess that there's some desire to make this, keep going with this, to make it something that works, is that right?
Yes, I would hope that would be the case. I think the next stage is to try and get those 3 areas we worked on joined together, and it's all these intermediary indexes. I've sort of built those in the code base, and I'm quite joined them all up. But if we could get those 3 separate areas in, and then understand the friction, and then this idea of what I call data middleware. So Karen's data science needs to be indexed, and then Ash's program needs to be run. Do we just run it for Scotland? Do we run it for England? We have to figure out a way of doing these batch processes to give the base information for these indexes to be built. And how we do that on demand is still a work in progress. But I think it's doable.